All right, this is the setup for the soundboard. First thing you're going to do if you're the first person in is turn on the booth light and turn on the main hanging lights. Then to turn on the soundboard, this is the very first thing. Flip this little switch right above here. You're going to wait about 10-30 seconds for it to warm up. Okay, after it's warmed up, you can plug in this yellow cable into the left side. That's for this, so that you can hear it. All right, so now that we've turned on, we're going to go down and turn on the box up front. Now that we've turned on the soundboard, there are 3 pieces of equipment that you're going to want to turn on in the stage area. The first is the wedge. Second is the aux monitor. And third, you're going to turn on the stage box. Okay, turning on the wedge, there's a little switch with a white line. You flip it to the white line, it will light up, and it's on. Next, you're going to want to turn on the aux monitor. It also has a switch. It's all actually labeled, so that's pretty easy. Flip that on, it's ready to go. And then you're going to come over here, and you're going to turn on the stage box. It's already on because I need this on to record, but it'll be over here, and then you just flip it over here, and you're ready to go. Now that we've turned on the stage box, it's time to set up some microphones. You'll want to ask the worship leader, who's usually Mark, how many vocal and instrument mics you're going to need. There are some permanent mics set up around that you'll never need to move. This is Mark's mic, or whoever is the worship leader. This is the second vocal mic. There's a microphone for Mark's guitar amplifier, a microphone for the cajon, and there's a microphone for the bass amp. Those are all permanent. And there's some mic stands and music stands over there that you will use for additional instruments. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to add additional microphones for any instruments that you are adding for the service. Let's say you're going to add a violin. Channel 7 is where we have the violin. So right now we're not actually going to touch anything, but we need to grab a microphone from this case. For violin, I typically like to use one of our condenser microphones. These guys. They're very sensitive, so it's very easy for them to pick up sound. Now that you have your microphone, you're going to need a stand and a cable for it. The stands are stored over here. You can grab one of these guys. This one's pretty much ready to go. What's very important is how to use a microphone stand. So we want to make sure that anything we're going to manipulate is loose. We do not want to have it tightened down and try to move it. Make sure everything's loose. Loosen this, loosen this. If you want, you can just, well, don't loosen everything, but these adjust all the height and this adjusts the tilt. So once we have these loosened, you can freely, more or less freely, pull them up. You're going to want to gauge the height for the instrument. And you can also, there's slide out adjustments. So say the violin is going to be about that high. You want to point it there, get it kind of in the position you want, and then start tightening things down. Okay. Everything's tight. It's not going anywhere. Put your microphone in. This microphone clip, it's actually very specific to this microphone. It was just already attached to this stand. Normally, you can find it in the box with the microphone. Now we're going to have to attach a cable to it. So you come over here, and you'll want to find the corresponding channel to the violin on the soundboard, which was channel 7. Luckily enough, I already have a cable plugged into channel 7. It has a red piece of tape. All of them have tape on them, and you'll be able to find on the other end the same color corresponding to tape. So I already have a cable run for it, but if you need one, there are more XLR cables in the booth that you can find. They're all various lengths, so you might have to, they're not labeled by length, so you'll have to find the right one. This is not a very long run. It comes under the carpet here, and we have it coming out the other end. This is our red cable. We want to just kind of tastefully snake it around the stand. It's not very tasteful right now, but, you know, do tastefully. Some of the stands have clips on them that you can use to help you out. Just kind of keep it in place. And you want to make sure that you actually have enough slack plug into the microphone here. Tilt clicks, very snug. And see, we actually have a bit of a problem that it's kind of tipping over. So you want to make sure that wherever the weight is going, you have a leg. So it's less likely to tip itself over, or you can also counterbalance it a little bit over here. Now you've got in position for your violin, assumedly. Now, this is a condenser microphone, so we'll have to turn the phantom power on back at the soundboard. Now that we're back in the sound booth, we'll come over to our violin channel, number 7, where we had the cable plugged into. We'll want to turn the phantom power on, but as I demonstrated earlier, you want to make sure it's muted before you turn on the phantom power. Turn it on, there's going to be a big spike, and then you might get some levels. Let's assume the violinist is going to be playing, so there'll be levels coming up. You want to unmute it, bring this slowly up to unity, and then we'll want to adjust the gain to be right about where you think is loud enough. Once you're done with that, back over to the channel, and you can make minor adjustments if it gets louder or quieter, if you think it needs better in the mix. And that's basically all there is to setting up an extra microphone.
This is a tour of the soundboard. These are the input channels. This is a fader. It's important to have it set at unity for gain staging, but during the service, you may need to make adjustments. This is the mute button. The solo button allows you to listen to only a specific channel. These are the channel select buttons. When a channel is selected, you can adjust parameters like gain and apply phantom power. The channel inputs represent the XLR inputs on the stage box. This is the output and bus section of the board. This is the wedge, standing monitor, and stream buses. This is the main fader. It controls the 3 big speakers in the ceiling. When the soundboard turns on, by default it is all the way down. You can bring it up to 0 and leave it there. I will demonstrate setting up the violin channel. Normally for the violin, you will use this small condenser microphone. Because we are using a condenser microphone, we will need to apply phantom power. Before applying phantom power, make sure that the channel is muted or it will cause a loud pop. Once you have applied phantom power, you can unmute the channel and with the fader at unity, adjust the gain to the desired level while the musicians are practicing. Once you have the gain dialed in, you can make adjustments with the fader during the service. The worship leader may request changes to the monitor mix. To do so, select the wedge monitor, then press the Sends on Fader button. This will flip the input channel faders to show what is going to the wedge. Now you can adjust the mix. Once you're finished, press the Sends on Fader button again, and it will flip the faders back to showing what's going to the main mix. You won't need to adjust the aux monitor mix. These buttons select the different fader banks for the inputs. The second bank is where the room microphones and the stream computer input is. You do not need to adjust the room microphones. Leave the computer input at 0 unless you're playing back a video. Another part of setup is putting batteries in handheld microphone A and putting it up front on the stand. Turn it on and confirm that you're getting an input before you take it up front. Once you've got the mic from the tech booth, you're going to want to come up front, find the mic stand. You're going to want to put it on this duct tape X on the ground. There may be other things in the way. You'll have to maneuver them. And then you'll put the microphone. You can just press it on. You can just make sure that it's pointed generally in this direction. People are going to adjust the height and all that fun stuff. Now that we have all of our microphones set up for the room, we need to make sure that we can hear them in the stream. So this is an example spread. We'll select our bus for stream lead. This is all of the instruments going to the stream. And we'll hit this button, Sends on Fader. Now, everything we do here is sending to this bus.
So we're going to want to mirror what we have going to the room, go into the stream. We already have the lead Vox and Vox 2 going. We need to make sure our acoustic guitar, our cajon, and our violin are now mirrored and going to the stream. Once the service is over, it's time to start turning everything off. What you want to do first is either mute or turn down the master fader all the way. Next, what you want to do is retrieve the handheld mics. Typically will be on the stand, and Hutch's mic. He'll usually be holding it, or he'll leave it on one of the seats in the front row. Make sure you put their batteries back on the charger. Next, you're going to want to take down any mics that you had set up extra for the band. Here we have an example mic set up. You're going to want to take the mic, put it in the drawer in the stage box, take the cable, and just coil it up on the ground right there. Then you're going to want to collapse the stand, but you can leave it here because they're probably going to use it again next week. Now that you've done that, it's time to turn off the monitors. Once the monitors are off, you can turn off the stage box. Once you've turned off the stage box, you can turn off the soundboard. But first, you're going to want to unplug this cable, which goes to that monitor. Now you can turn off the soundboard. We'll switch right above the cable.